Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. In today's main topic, I'm going to be talking about France throwing this idea about creating a new plaza accord for China. And obviously, the Chinese have not been very pleased about France's idea. So this has gone viral at the moment, not only in China, but also in France as well. So I'm going to be talking about that. I'm also going to be talking about Trump also pushing a Mar-a-Lago Accord similar to the Plaza Accord. So they are all talking about it. And I'm also going to be talking about China's push towards complete independence from America when it comes to agriculture. So I'll be talking about that. But before I talk about all those subjects, I'm just going to give you a quick update about Iran. And before I start, don't forget to like and share and try and watch the video to the end. And also, if you go to my old channel, the Wolf Warrior channel, try and see if you can watch some old videos and duplicate videos if you can. And that really helps to get the numbers up because I'm trying to get to 4,000 hours. So if you can do that, that'll be really appreciated. Because that channel got demonetized. I don't know if you guys remember when I first started YouTube, that channel got demonetized. So as you know, YouTube is very, very restrictive and they do not want you to hear the truth, so any pro-truth channels gets demonetized. If it reaches up to a certain number of subscribers, it gets demonetized basically because they don't want you to hear the truth. And channels like mine get demonetized very quickly because, as you know, I don't really shirk around with important topics. I say things as it is. You know, I talk about Israel, I talk about India, and in YouTube, if you talk about any of those subjects, you usually get demonetized because they don't like you talking about them. And so channels like myself are very, very risky for them, basically. They don't want me to kind of spread the truth to too many people. So if you can help the old channel get it monetized again, I'd really appreciate it. And he also gives me a backup channel in case anything happens to this one as well. Anyway, without further ado, let's carry on with the show. So Netanyahu has arrived in Washington, and he had a 2 hours 90 minutes a meeting with Trump. Normally, I think in Trump's schedule, he only earmarked 60 minutes with Netanyahu. They ended up talking for 2 hours and 90 minutes. It just goes to show where Trump's priorities lie because name one other world leader that gets that much time from Trump. No other world leader gets that. So this means more time for Israel and less time for domestic policies. And this has been Trump's Trump's job from day one. He's been focusing on Israel first. He's done everything he promised to Israel. He's done. And he's done nothing he promised to the American people. Nothing, absolutely nothing. He caused more inflation. He causes more economic woes for the American, the average American. He's done nothing to help America whatsoever. In fact, America has become worse under his leadership. While Israel, he's giving everything to them. He's giving money, he's giving support, he's giving weapons, he's giving cover. He's pretty much doing everything he can for Israel. And he's supposed to be America first, right? But in reality, it's Israel first. It's MIGA, make Israel great again. That's his real motto. So it's not just Trump, it's the whole of Congress. It's everyone. And I want to show you this clip. So this is when Netanyahu arrived today, and you can see the kind of ass kicking, ass kissing that happens in Congress when Netanyahu arrives. So let me play this. So let me play this, guys, and there might not be any sound, but I'm just going to fast forward it just to show you. So for those of you who can't hear anything, basically, they're all standing up, they're all cheering, everyone's shaking his hand, everyone's kissing his backside, everyone's like, screaming his name. It's like some sort of pop star. Not even Zelensky this gets this kind of treatment. No world leader gets this kind of treatment in Congress. And I mentioned this in the previous video. This is how Israel controls America. This is they do it via Congress, and they do it via. It goes all the way from the top, from the president all the way to Senate to Congress. And they do it via APAC. So those of you who know Trump, Trump has been given 200 million by Miriam Adelson, and and what does she get from 200 million? She gets full access to Trump at any moment whatsoever. Even Trump, during his interviews last few months ago, he said that she and her husband, her late husband, he's dead now. They used to come in to his office in the White House, and they used to come in without any appointments. They used to come in without any moment's notice, and they used to demand he does things for Israel. And in his first term, you remember he did a lot for Israel. He basically he gave the Golan Heights to Israel, even though it wasn't his to give to Israel. He produced. He did an embassy in Jerusalem, even though he was not supposed to. Obviously, Miriam and her husband pushed Trump to do that. They also pushed Trump to kill Soleimani from Iran. They did a lot. Basically, in his first term, he did a lot for them. And in his second term, obviously, she's been wanting more. She's been telling him to support Israel in its genocide and things like that. So that 200 million goes a long way. And then you have APAC basically paying 98% of the money to Congress. So if you want to be a member of Congress, you want to get a seat in Congress, APAC basically will fund your elections. They will make sure you win, whether legally or illegally. They will basically buy your votes, and you will become member of Congress. But for you to do that, you gotta kiss the wall in Israel, and you gotta be Israel's bitch, basically. And this is why 98% of Congress are basically Israeli friendly. They all kiss the wall in Israel. Any Israeli um, anything Israeli comes on Congress for them to vote, they always vote yes. For example, money for Israel, weapons for Israel, support for Israel. They'll always say yes. If you say no, then Israel, APAC will find a way to get rid of you. And if you're against APAC, then they will basically support your rivals and make sure your rivals get voted in, not you. So this is how they control APAC on both sides, whether you're Republican or Democrat. This is how Israel wins on both sides. And who pays APAC? APAC gets his money not only from Israel but also from other donors. We're talking about BlackRock here. BlackRock has more assets than the American government itself. They have over 30, 40 trillion in assets all over the world, and they control a lot of American corporate culture. They're the ones that push woke culture in Hollywood, and they push transgender rights, and they also supported immigration during Biden's era. So they push a lot of policies in America. And not only that, not only BlackRock and Vanguard, there's also Vanguard, obviously. There's also Hollywood is pretty much all owned by Israel and Jews. So they basically use that to brainwash Americans. Like Disney is owned by Jews, and Paramount, you name it. All of these major film companies, they all pretty much have Jewish owners in it. They own the music companies as well. They use that to brainwash Americans. They own all the media companies. They use that to brainwash Americans and also to brainwash the American politicians to kind of push them into their agendas. And pretty much own every single tech company like Meta, OpenAI, Google. You name it, guys. You have Israeli intelligence or Israeli people running it, and also every single major American corporation or company is pretty much has got some Jewish influence or Jewish roots or Jewish CEOs or Jewish money behind it. And this is how, they pay APAC, and they're obviously America's a corporate country. You have corporations that have more power than the government, and this is how Israel basically controls America via corporations, via BlackRock, via APAC, via Congress, via people like Miriam Adelson. And that's how they do it, guys. And this is why, Netanyahu's a celebrity. They have to basically kiss his ass. They have to kiss Israel's ass every opportunity, because if they don't, they find themselves voted out by APAC. They're all blackmailed. Um, they all are blackmailed. Not only do you have to kiss the wall, you have to go to their exclusive parties. I'm not going to tell you which kind of parties, but I'm sure you guys know which kind of parties in secluded islands, and where you get filmed. They film you and then they blackmail you with the footage, and that's been that's been happening not only to the very top of politicians, but also every single powerful person around the world. Everyone that has been in those parties has pretty much been influenced and blackmailed by Israel. So that's how it's working, guys. That's how it works in America. So Netanyahu and Iran, obviously, he wants to push for this war with Iran, and he had a meeting with Trump lasting 290 minutes, by the way. So Trump originally planned 60 minutes with Netanyahu, but it lasted 290 minutes. That goes to show how much importance Trump puts on Israel. He has more time for Israel and less time for anything else. If you give 290 minutes to Israel, where does the rest of your time go? Nothing. Nothing for foreign policies, nothing for the economy, nothing for the American people. It's basically all your time is going to Israel. So you got 290 minutes out of Trump, and they came out and said that, they would prefer for negotiations, but if the negotiations fail, things can get very tough for Iran. And apparently, there's a second aircraft carrier group going into Iran as well. And yeah, they're threatening war with Iran. They know that they have to fight Iran sooner rather than later, because they cannot wait too long, because Iran is becoming more and more powerful every single day. America and all its allies, Europe and all its allies, are basically bullies. They like to bully weak countries. If you're a weak country and you cannot defend yourself, they will bully you and they will harass you. They will invade you. They will cause color revolutions. They will cause a lot of pain in your country if you cannot defend yourself. And if you don't follow the American rules, it's either their way or the highway. They don't like it when countries have their own sovereignty and countries go their own way. They don't like it. But this is why there's only a few countries in the world who are actually sovereign, and Iran is one of them. China is another, Russia is another, obviously, and North Korea, Cuba. I wanted to say Venezuela, but I'm not sure anymore. Yemen is definitely sovereign. So you can see there's only a few countries around the world, and everyone else is pretty much under the thumb of the American empire. And they don't like it if you're sovereign, and they love to bully you and threaten you with war. And the only way to kind of stop that kind of bullying is become strong yourself, become independent and strong. And that's what's happened to China. China over the years has developed, you know, f- from the poor, weak, impoverished, you know, country after the 1950 civil wars and the Japanese invasion, World War II. China was in a very, very bad way. They're one of the, you know, most impoverished nations in the world, and they've worked very, very hard over the years to get to where they are today. And they've not had any much help from the outside world. They've not had any help from the West. West has actually sanctioned China. They were not allowed to buy any weapons from the West. Um, Even Russia was not very fond of the West. Didn't help China much back in the day. Back in the day, Stalin and Mao didn't get along very well. There was a lot of mistrust between them, and there was a short war between them as well. So Russia didn't really help China much to industrialize. China had to do everything itself, build its own nuclear weapons, build its own space program, build its own manufacturing, build its own kind of semiconductors, build its own AI, build its own weapons. Everything China had to do itself. Um, And China became strong. I mean, I remember in Trump's first term, there was talk about war with China, and they said they would beat China very easily. The West was really, really, asking for war with China. But since China became very strong, there's no talk of war anymore because the West know they're going to get absolutely slaughtered by China. So they've stopped talking about war now. And they did the same with North Korea. North Korea, they were talking about war with North Korea. Then North Korea got itself nuclear weapons. And again, America stopped bullying North Korea. They don't talk about war with North Korea anymore. I remember growing up, there was lots of talk about North Korea, war with North Korea. But since they had nuclear weapons, North Korea has been pretty safe and stable. There's been no talk of war, and North Korea was able to kind of develop itself without the threat of war or anything like that. So the lesson is you have to be strong yourself for you to be truly independent and to stop Western bullying. So they know that Iran is getting to that stage. Iran is getting to the stage where it's going to be very, very difficult to beat them in an actual war. And this is why they want to attack Iran now, sooner rather than later, because they don't want Iran to get too strong and acquire nuclear weapons and acquire massive amounts of hypersonics and become a technologically advanced country with advanced manufacturing and things like that. They don't want Iran to get to that stage because if Iran gets to that stage, it's going to be impossible to win any war with them. So they don't, even though it's really hard to win a war against Iran now, they feel that they would rather do it now rather than wait 10 years, for example. 10 years, Iran is going to get much more powerful. I mean, even now, you see Iran is building lots of hypersonic missiles. They're getting lots of help from Russia and China. They're importing a lot of raw materials from Russia and China. They're importing lots of weapons, radar systems, planes, anti-aircraft. So Iran is becoming very, very prepared for war with the West. And imagine what Iran's going to be like in 10 years' time. They're going to be even more stronger. They're going to have more missiles. They're going to have more aircraft guns. They're going to have more time to test and fly, airplanes from Russia and China. They're going to have more time to test, Russian and Chinese weapons. So in 10 years' time, Iran's going to get too strong for Israel and America to attack. While the West is going down, while countries like Iran and China, Russia going up, the West is falling. The dollar's falling, the debt is spiraling out of control. The West, the middle class is falling, and so the West is going the opposite direction. So this is why they are really pushing for war now, and and I think Trump actually does not want war because he knows that any war with Iran, he knows any war, if it goes horribly wrong, like for example, if Iran sinks one or two aircraft carriers with hypersonics, there's thousands and thousands of American soldiers that were killed by Iran, and not only from the Navy side, but also American bases. Iran can just fire missiles at those American bases, kill lots of American soldiers. They can do a lot of damage to the world economy and the American economy. They can block the Hormuz Strait, uh, increase kind of the oil price, which is going to be really bad for the American people, and it's also going to increase inflation for the rest of the world. They can cause a lot of damage, guys, to the world economy, and also Iran and Russia are also helping Iran as well. They're not going to let Iran fall. So and if things escalate, we could be talking about World War III. Iran and Russia basically joining in to help Iran, and that could kind of escalate, and that could lead to World War III. So all of that could be blamed on Trump, and I don't think Trump wants that. There's too many uncertainties. And this is why I don't think Trump wants war. I think Trump is basically throwing all these aircraft carriers and stuff near Iran to push them into the negotiation table so Iran negotiates. However, it's not going to work because Iran doesn't really kindly fall to Trump's threats. Trump is like a gangster, right? He likes to scare people, he likes to threaten people, but he will never attack. He will always tackle out. His bite's worse than his bark, let's just say. So I think Trump doesn't want war. However, people close to him do want war because people close to him are all Israel first. This is an American first government here. We're talking about an Israel first government. People close to him, like Rubio, um, Jared Kushner, Witkoff, and many of his administration, they're all Israel first, and they're going to be pushing him for war with Iran. Netanyahu also going to be pushing it. He's going to be telling all his Congress puppets to push for war with Iran. So there may be a lot of pressure on Trump to go to war with Iran, even though he doesn't want to. And so let's just hope like Trump has got at least some sort of common sense and not to kind of start a war because things will go horribly wrong if he does. But let's see what happens over the next few weeks and weekends. Um, I'm hoping they come to some sort of deal. Um, the deal is very far off. Uh, what the Americans want, or what the Israelis want, is Iranian ballistic missiles not to reach Israel. They want complete shutdown of Iranian nuclear sites. They want Iran to stop supporting, Yemen and Hezbollah and other proxies and other friends of Iran. So they want a lot of things from Iran, and Iran's not budging to any of the demands, by the way. So let's see. They're very, very far off with the negotiations. But I do not think Trump wants war, and I think if he has any sort of common sense, he would not do it. So let's see what happens next few weeks. So let's talk about this next article here, which is the main article I'm going to talk about for today. So the French have been very vocal recently and talking about a brand new Plaza Accord for China, and they have been talking about it on their websites and shows, and also some of their diplomats have been talking about it, and even Trump has been floating this idea about a new Mar-a-Lago Accord, which is similar to the Plaza Accord. So if you guys remember, the Plaza Accord was signed by the Japanese around the 1985, and what that meant is some sort of currency devaluation, or some sort of messing around with currency. So basically, um, exports became cheaper for certain countries, and imports became cheaper for other countries, and basically they completely destroyed the yen when they devalued the yen at the time during the Plaza Accord. And the Japanese economy was stagnated since the 1980s. Before 1980s, Japanese economy was booming, and it was booming so fast that people thought they're going to overtake America, and Americans got very scared and they absolutely panicked. And so they came up with this Plaza Accord, and they forced the Japanese to sign it. And the Japanese stupidly signed it. They destroyed their own economy and they destroyed their own businesses. For nothing, for the white Americans, for the white empire, and it was crazy, guys. I mean, fact is, they can do this to Japan, which is quite easy because Japan is a vassal state of America, right? Japan is a vassal, and you can force your vassal states to do things like that. And your vassals will gladly destroy their own economy. They will gladly put their moms eh, in a casket or prison if it means they are making their masters happy. So Japan has got no shame. They would easily do that again and again and again. And also not only just America targeted Japan in their currency using the Plaza Accord, they also targeted Japanese businesses. They destroyed various Japanese businesses with tariffs and sanctions. And for example, many Japanese famous brands got destroyed over the years because of Americans' sanctions. They tried to destroy it like they tried to destroy Huawei. Huawei has done the opposite effect. It's actually made Huawei stronger. But with these Japanese businesses, they actually got destroyed. We're talking about Hitachi and Toshiba, Mitsubishi, Panasonic, you name it. Some big brands, Japanese brands, got destroyed over the years because of American sanctions, and they allowed it. The Japanese allowed it. So, the mistake the French and Americans are making is they think China is the same as Japan, and this is the narrow-minded, very short-minded thinking that the Western governments have. They're so arrogant. They feel that the Chinese will gladly sign another Plaza Accord just to please them. China is not another Japan. They have their own sovereignty. They are not a vassal state of the United States. And also, China can see the history of what the Plaza Accord did to Japan since 1985, and it's not good news for Japan. Since the Plaza Accord, it only benefited the West. It only benefited the dollar, and it benefited the EU. It has not benefited the yen or the Japanese. So why would China sign another accord which will destroy the Chinese currency and help the Western currency like the dollar, like the EU? It's impossible. So these supremacists, imperialists from the West, they feel that they can, dictate terms and tell other countries like China what they want and how they should destroy their own economies and sign another accord. They feel that they're so arrogant that China will be gladly do that. No, China's not going to gladly do that. So this story has been going around in Chinese social media, and many Chinese are laughing at this prospect. Chinese, many are saying that how dare they? How dare these white imperialist Western governments feel that they can dictate another Plaza Accord to China? China is not stupid enough to sign another one. And the fact that France is even mentioning it shows the arrogance of the French, thinking the Chinese will be gladly signing another one. I mean, history has shown that it has destroyed Japan, so why would China do something that will destroy China? It's impossible. China will not do that. Um, especially especially the fact that they know they're coming after China in every way. They want to destroy China. They want to destroy the economy. They want to come after China. They want to have wars with China. You know, China is a great threat to them economically. So this is one of the ways they want to destroy China. And it's just not going to work because, unfortunately for the West, they've already tried it on Japan. And it's a tried and tested method on Japan. So there is no way China will fall for it. So yeah, it's a non-starter for China for this one. So anyway, that's all I have time for today, guys. There are other topics I wanted to talk about, but I'll leave you in the next video. I'll talk about it tomorrow. So let's call this a day, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care for now.